John Greco joins us right now. He's on the fan hotline. John, hello.
Good morning, Ken. How are you guys?
Do you think we're doing all right? Do you think that the Browns rolled over and died on Sunday? I don't think so. I just think we got out-assed, which is also a big problem.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't think this team is going to roll over and die throughout the year and kind of give up. It just look, they're not executing. Here we are, another special teams blunder. Fumble recoveries, return for touchdowns. The mistakes are, mounting, and they just aren't good enough to overcome big mistakes like that in games. I watch these other games on Sundays, and they're so entertaining. There's such huge things happening within the game, and when you think that you can count another team out, somebody steps up, someone makes a big play, they pop a big run, they make a big sack, they make a big catch, and they're able to kind of overcome that. And I'm just not seeing that right now. I'm seeing more kind of routine things happening when Joe Flacco is completing things down the field, and you're like, okay, let's keep doing that. Let's do more of that. Where is that? Or you see one of the running backs pop one free, or a screen happen. And I'm not talking defensively because they're fighting their asses off. But just offensively, who's that guy that's going to step up and make the big play when it seems like things are heading south for them, that is going to galvanize the team and give everybody energy and let the defense know, hey, look, these guys got our back, and we're still in this. Keep fighting, because we can't expect the defense to pitch shutouts and to hold teams to under 6-7 points every game. It's just not realistic. So that's where I'm at with them right now. It's just like, where's the energy? Where's the guy that's stepping up and making that big play? Because I just don't think they have the ability to sustain a 60-minute heavyweight bout where you're winning the decision at the end of the game. They have to throw knockout punches within the game to get leads and then let the defense pin their ears back.
Well, we've been talking about, the tough schedule and whether or not it makes sense to make a change at quarterback or whatever. But if you are on a football team, and you've been on teams that have been off to a rough start, at what point do you start looking around going, is coach going to make the change? Because it's only been 2 games, and one of the games, the quarterback played well.
Anthony, that was a really nice way of you saying that I played on crappy teams my whole career. But
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
It's a good question, and it's so tough because you start and look. I hear the conversations. I know what's going on with people upset at the front office and Coach Stefanski, and you have to look at what point did they want to see someone different in there to kind of buy some more time for their time here, if that makes sense. Do they want to see Dylan Gabriel in there? Looking like he did late in the fourth quarter. But I don't know. Typically I would never be a schedule peeker, but hey, it's a free country, and I've started looking at it. And yeah, the Green Bay's coming into town, and my God, they look like absolute juggernauts. But you never know. I mean, I've seen crazier things happen. But peeking down the schedule, Detroit seems like they turn things around. Playing at Ford Field, that's no easy task. But then you got Minnesota. And quite frankly, I think at this point I'd rather play J.J. McCarthy than who knows what magic Carson Wentz still has in his bag of tricks. And then obviously you're at Pittsburgh, and we know how things go with them. They didn't look great Sunday, and divisional game, anything can happen. But that's the thing. They should have won the game against Cincinnati. And yeah, there was a million things that we can dissect throughout that game. But if it comes down to it, and we execute on special teams, every team is saying that. If we'd have done these 3-4 plays differently, we could have won the game. We should have won the game. Well, the Browns have every right to say that. This last game on Sunday got away from them, obviously, because of turnovers, because of special teams blunders again. But no matter how ugly it looks on Sunday and when you watch the tape, are they in a position to win the game at the end of the game? And they weren't on Sunday, obviously, because of the myriad of mistakes throughout the game. But I just putting in a young quarterback right now, this early in the season, I just don't see how that's a good move. Joe Flacco did not look like the spry 40-year-old 17-year vet that we saw against Cincinnati. I thought his mobility looked a little bit different. Sunday, I thought, I don't want to say he looked unsure of himself because the guy's seen every look imaginable, but something about it, he just didn't trust his eyes looking downfield. Maybe the guys weren't getting open, the windows were extremely tight, and oftentimes you saw him force the ball or hold on to it a little bit longer. Now, he didn't take 1,000,000 sacks. At times the protection was really good, and at times it broke down. But hey, look, that's every team, every offense looking at their tape on Monday is saying the same thing. But going to a young quarterback this stage in the game, maybe because we're upset the way things turned out Sunday, I just think it's a bad deal, and it's going to look even worse if we don't buy him time, let him continue to learn. If there's opportunities to get these young quarterbacks in the games late, to get valuable reps, I think that's the best approach.
Right now on the hotline, John Greco. So the pass blocking grades were not pretty as expected for the offensive linemen, and it was even worse for Sampson, who was trying to come in there and block rushers, which is kind of a problem if you're third down back, can't really block on third down. So given all of that, what are the answers? What are some of the offensive strategies you can go to? Because the Ravens are the Ravens, and the Ravens are a team that can complicate things. Maybe not everybody can, emulate that. So where do the Browns go from here if the offensive line looks like that?
Well, it's tough because then you're going to have to start borrowing blockers, which means that they're going to be getting out on delayed routes. And when I say that, I mean leaving tight ends in the formation and designing protections and formations to help guys. And look, sometimes you have to do that. And guess what? Micah Parsons is coming into town. I mean, that defensive line and those linebackers that are rushing the passer, they look pretty damn good. So yes, you're going to have to keep an extra body. There's going to be a lot more quicker routes, trying to design things maybe in play action where you're leaving an extra body in there to help these tackles. I don't know Jack Conklin's availability. DeJuan Jones, kind of in and out of the game late. We'll see what those guys, their availability moving forward. But you're going to have to start leaving running backs in full time and tight ends in full time and an extra offensive lineman. And all that means, guys, is that teams are going to say, okay, well, we can get home with 4 or 5 guys. We'll drop everybody else in protection and then double cover Jerry Jeudy. And then who's our next guy? Is it Harold Fannin? Is it David Njoku? Are they in the protection? If you're having 2-man pass concepts downfield, I mean, that's a hell of a lot easier to defend than, when you just have 5 offensive linemen blocking and the rest of the guys are out running routes. I'd sign up for that as a defensive coordinator any day of the week. So they're going to have to do that. And guys are going to have to get open, and they're going to have to execute and run the right routes and catch the damn ball and protect and all the things that you need to do on offense to be successful. Because, Joe Flacco, let's just be honest, we're not going to be seeing him dodging guys in the pocket and then scrambling for 20, 30 yards to extend drives. That's not him anymore. And my God, at 40 years old, we can't expect that from him. So he has to be kept upright. Can he extend plays? Sure, of course. But we can't just assume that he's going to get out of pressure situations and shed blockers and scamper for first downs. Everyone has to carry their weight a little bit more, and they just have to ratchet up the protection. And that goes for the guys that are coming in the game as backups and reserve players. There's no hand-holding anymore. You're in there. You're expected to execute.
John Greco joining us on the show, do you believe that Kenny Pickett was Kevin Stefanski's guy?
I do, Ken, only because I know just as much about that situation as you guys and as, John and Joe Q fan down the street from me. I don't know. I didn't inquire about it. But, God, doesn't it look like that's what it was? I mean,
I was going to ask him, why isn't he here?
Great question. I was wondering if you guys were going to ask me about that. The whole quarterback situation is just so murky to me. I get it. Obviously they weren't going to do anything with Dylan Gabriel. You're not going to. That guy's on your roster. And then Shedeur Sanders, the amount of attention that guy had during the preseason, and just everyone loves him. Everyone wants to see him in the game and on this team. It's like people want him to be like the chosen one. and the savior. And I get it. He's a charismatic guy. When he was out there, he showed flashes of brilliance. And there's always the what if. But Kenny Pickett, he comes in and just the injury really just derailed any plans for him being either the starter and Joe Flacco being the backup or a trading, bargaining chip. And then you have Kenny Pickett and the two young guys. But I don't know. And I don't know if we'll ever know the answer. But, yeah, I'm with you. And I always thought that was Kevin Stefanski's guy. They liked his mobility. They liked his ability to lead his offense and execute it. We'll just never know. Unfortunately, an injury caused him to be elsewhere, and we just won't know.
All right, so you're taking into consideration, all of this when it comes to, their issues. Their defense is fighting their butts off for as long as they can, and even Myles Garrett said last game, like the dam is eventually going to break. So is that something that should be concerning when you're hearing them talk like that already after 2 games, and you saw what Lamar was able to do to them in the second half?
Yeah, I think it's concerning because that is Myles Garrett's way of trying to rattle some cages a little bit. He's saying that, and we all know what he means. He's saying that, trying to wake everybody up and saying we have to play better, and really on both sides of the ball. And we can't expect him, to your point, to shut down Lamar Jackson and contain him for 4 quarters when the offense is going 3 and out and causing turnovers and giving short fields, and they're on the field for the majority of the time. So yeah, I think that's his way of kind of saying, hey, look, it's still early in the season. Let's try to get everything together and turn this thing around. And we knew, getting back to the whole schedule thing, 3 weeks ago, we knew that there was a chance we'd be in this situation. And, you played 2 divisional opponents, and we talked about Cincinnati and how that ended, and that really sucks. But it would sure feel a hell of a lot better if we were 1-1 right now. And it was like, okay, let's regroup. Let's go, we're at home. Let's try to beat the Packers, see what happens. But that's not the reality. We're 0-2. Yesterday looked uglier than week 1, or excuse me, Sunday looked uglier than week 1. And I think we all would know what's, we're looking at here coming this Sunday at 1:00. You have a terrific offense and a defense that has really, really been dominant. And again, like I said, anything can happen. Any of these Sunday teams, you can show up. They could be sleepwalking. We can get some turnovers. Things can start clicking offensively, but they just have to button up every aspect of the offense right now, where guys have to block better. The running backs, I don't know how much longer they're going to be doing kind of running back by committee. I know they're trying to get Coach Judkins up to speed, and I'm assuming that his workload will increase as the weeks go on, and you'll see kind of the 2 young guys take over more and more, or it'll just be a competition between Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson for the number 2 spot. But they have to find a rhythm offensively in the run game. They have to protect no matter who's out there, no matter what backups are out there. They have to protect better. And Joe Flacco, I don't want to say he's just going to have to trust it and take shots, but at some point we're just going to have to start throwing it up because I've heard that guys weren't getting separations on routes, and I see that sometimes too, but everybody's got to step up and do their job a little bit better.
Do fans need to get over Baker?
It's hard to. It's hard to get. I'm a fan. I'm watching that last night. And look, we've talked about this over the past couple of years, and I want to see that guy do well. I would have killed someone to play for Baker Mayfield, to play, next to that guy. He's got it. I know at times it doesn't always look perfect, but, he's running downfield, picking up first downs, spraining his ankle, then he's hopping up to get in a guy's face and point his finger and talk, smack to the guy's face. I love that, and he backs it up. So fans have every right to still kind of, complain about it, and that's our right as fans. That's our God-given right. But at some point, we're going to have to. I mean, it's ancient history. The guy's gone. He's not here. Same with Nick Chubb. My God, I love watching that guy run through holes untouched last night, 25-yard touchdown. Because that used to be us. We used to see that, and we want that. So fans have every right to feel that way. But at some point, those guys are gone. And we can always talk. Look, I still talk about Josh Gordon. That was 100 years ago. I'm like, man, what could have been? That's our right as fans.
John, thank you very much for the time. All the very best to you and yours. And again, we'll talk to you again next week, hopefully under much better circumstances.
I agree, guys. Have a great week. Looking forward to it.
The tremendous John Greco on the Fan Hotline.